Well, welcome. This is AVORS Medical Group's first appreciation for implants and for total joints. It's a fun experience for us to thank you for the trust that you have given us. And we're hoping to have these every year. During COVID, we wanted to start, and we were unable to, but it feels very good to have you all here today on this beautiful day. It couldn't be better. It just was a beautiful drive in, and it's good to have all your beautiful faces here. We have a few vendors we wanted to thank for coming today. So DePuy is one of them for our total joints. Abbott is our spinal stimulator over here on the left, and we have Nevro as well. So thank you to the vendors who came and have their time that they're volunteering. They're here for questions as well. So Nevro is a it's a spinal stimulator, and they're very good also for if you have diabetes and you have neuropathy. Abbott is very good. It's a spinal stimulator. You're going to hear Dr. Nasser talk about that in a little bit. And then DePuy is our total joints for knee and for hip. And we have a few other vendors we use, but we really love DePuy and are glad they're here today to show off their wares. As we start, feel free to get up and go get food at any point. You're not going to offend anyone. And the restrooms are on the left when you walk in. And again, feel free to get drink or food at any point during this talk. You're not going to offend us by standing up. As we get started, we are really here to thank you for giving the trust to AVORS Medical Group. My name is Joseph Hurley. I'm the Chief Executive Officer. It has been a pleasure. I've been here about over 3 years. When I interviewed at a group up in Oregon called, I don't have to say the name, but it was around 50 of probably the busiest orthopedic surgeons there in Oregon. And when I came and I interviewed here, I felt something I hadn't felt in a practice before. And it was interesting for me. I just felt there's an intense loyalty and brotherhood among the surgeon owners. And when I interviewed originally for the other company, they all were it was a different environment. I can't explain it. They were good surgeons, but at AVORS Medical Group, there's something I've never seen in any group before. And not only do we have the finest surgeons and doctors, but we have the finest people and individuals as physicians at AVORS Medical Group. Sometimes a few people ask, what does AVORS stand for? So I hopefully, does anyone here in the crowd know?
I know.
Well, you got me too, like you do? Out in the crowd, do you know what AVORS stands for? Yes.
Antelope Valley, Orthopedic and Rehabilitation.
Yeah. Specialist, yeah, great. Just so you know, so many people will ask me, what does AVORS stand for? So you hit it, it's Orthopedic and Rehabilitation Specialist. It's so interesting. So the orthopedics and the rehab are what created the enterprise, but AVORS is one of the most innovative companies I have ever had the pleasure of working for. And what's so interesting is, I don't know if you know the story of how it got created. Two young surgeons, Dr. Thomas Nasser and Dr. Antelope, both rented the same suite, but they didn't know it. So they both showed up the same day to start their lease, and they walk into each other. And I only know that was probably the most awkward staring contest of two surgeons looking at each other. And innovation is an interesting word because sometimes I'm not going to say that some surgeons have egos. No, I'll say it. Some surgeons have big egos. It's interesting. You say that word innovation, and as they stared at each other, they could have easily said, "Get the hell out of here," right? And instead they looked at each other and said, "You know what, I'm pretty sure we can work together." And having surgeons who can compromise, that is one of the biggest skills you'll have during surgery because you never know what you're going to get, even though the x-rays say one thing when you have to do surgery. And the two of them are innovative enough, they said, let's work together. And they created the foundation of innovation. Dr. Antelope is the first surgeon in the Antelope Valley who said, you know what, maybe there's a better way to do total joints. And as he switched from the posterior to the anterior hip replacement, he revolutionized the care you can get in the Antelope Valley overnight. And for many of you who've had the anterior hip replacement, you've seen how people and sometimes you can't do the anterior, so it has to be posterior. But when I was a center of excellence in Alaska, and people would come out of surgery, and it would be 12 hours before they can walk with the posterior hip replacement. So that was a center of excellence, which was awarded that by the state of Alaska, as well as Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So I was surprised my first day at AVORS having a patient who just had surgery and being discharged at 3.5 hours, walking out of the clinic. And that was revolutionary. So Dr. Antelope, he's just sitting there like, come on. Dr. Antelope, he didn't have to to do the anterior approach and spend so much time doing it. He could have done what everyone else was doing, but he saw the benefits to the patients, he saw the benefits to the community, and who wants to be crying for 12 hours after they have surgery? He saw people get up and walk, and he brought that service to the Antelope Valley. And Ingenuity isn't just starting there. He had a partner who is fellowship trained as well, but in total joints, and so he brought that partner here who also did anterior hip. And overnight you have 2 providers in a community that's around 500,000 people who can do the service that nobody else can do. And I say ingenuity because a normal surgeon would say, you know, I've cornered the market, I'm not going to bring anyone else in, but he realized that the demand was going to get too big and he couldn't do it alone. And on top of that, they brought Dr. Justin Heller, who's one of the finest plastics/fellowship trained in hand, elbow, and upper extremity to the area. That man can make you beautiful and he can save your hand. So it's a fine skill that he brought. And I think of the different surgeons that have partnered with AVORS Medical Group to bring the highest quality care. We have Dr. Orlando Pena, who's a physical medicine and rehab. We have Dr. I don't know if many of you have met him yet, even though he's been here for a year and a half. Dr. Kyle Hopkins. He is a trauma-trained podiatrist, and he is the only trauma-trained podiatrist in the Antelope Valley. We have Dr. Nasser and with Dr. Pena. They are the only pain management group that goes to the nursing home so that you don't have to leave and you can actually get care there in the nursing home. There's a lot of onlys when I talk about what AVORS Medical Group does in the community. I just wanted to quickly make a note that when I think of innovation, I think of the innovative things we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to be having a small presentation from each provider, and I'll name them out so you can know who they are. And again, at any point, if you have to use the restroom, feel free to get up. At any point you want to get food, go ahead. If there ever is an emergency, you have 2 emergency doors on the right, and you have some on the left that you can get out of the building. But I hope my jokes aren't that bad to where you have to leave. As we get started, we're going to have Dr. Lon Tebi. He is the medical director of the Antelope Valley Medical Center for Trauma and Total Joints. He is also fellowship trained in trauma as an orthopedic surgeon. He does sports medicine as an orthopedic surgeon. He does total joints. So it's interesting, as I talk about each of our physicians, there's a long list of the services they provide. If you have children and you need pediatric orthopedics, he also performs that. He's going to talk about hip replacement. And then after him, we have Dr. Eric Awashi. Eric Awashi is our newest total joint fellowship trained orthopedic surgeon. He's going to talk a lot about what's progressing with total knees. And I'll go ahead, and after he's done, I'll get back up here and we'll go through the remainder of the event. Dr. Teddy?